Where does this masterpiece fall? Let's rank this film on the Cageometer.
All right, that leads us over to the most important question. Vince, where does Guarding Tess from 1994, one of Javi's favorite films from Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, rate on your Cageometer?
I'm going to keep Javi's, opinion out of this one and influence out of this. Honestly, this movie was it was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it before. I feel like I have a long time ago, but it didn't leave enough residue to kind of like resonate with me down the road. But so I'm gonna give it a 7. I thought it was a pretty well told story. I thought the chemistry between all the actors was really good. That dark twist at the end, was not expecting that. So I definitely enjoyed that it wasn't just this kind of bland driving Miss Daisy, like vanilla story. As far as Cage goes, give him a 7 as well. He had his cagey moments, which were hilarious, and I love those. I'm glad that they were in there because it made him more entertaining. But then I thought what really kind of solidified the 7 for me is just his chemistry with Tess, and the watching them start to grow and bond their relationship down the road to then her being kidnapped and seeing the true agony on his face when he realizes how fucked he is and how devastated he is that she's gone. That relationship's what really cemented my opinion on his performance in the movie. Because if he hadn't had that sincerity and that chemistry, I think it would have probably been about a 4, maybe a 5, because he gets a little cagey and there's some moments where it wasn't really clicking early on in the film. I don't know if those were some of the first scenes that they shot, but he didn't really seem to be in a rhythm or in the character at that time. But just watching that bond and that chemistry, I think he did a really good job. It's one of the better performances that we've seen probably this season. And maybe I'm just biased because we just watched Time to Kill. Was our last one, but but yeah. So 7 for both movie and Cage.
He was good in Time to Kill. Come on.
Yeah, he was.
All right, Nigel, where does Guarding Tess rate on your Cageometer?
I thought this movie was great. I feel like a lot of the critical response when it came out was a little harsh, and the audience response too. I don't really understand where that mixed review status comes from. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's like 50% of the people who review it seem to, at least 50%, say they don't like it, which I kind of found weird. I don't know what it is. It's not a movie that I would choose to watch if it weren't for this show, but I was very pleasantly surprised by it. I think this is one of those hidden gems that we come across doing this show. And it may just be because I'm jaded with movies this season, like Stolen and Arsenal and some real shitty performances we've seen in the last few episodes. But I thought this one was an 8 out of 10. I debated giving it a 9, but I felt like it worked. I felt like the movie was really solid. I'll give it. I kind of backed it down a little bit as we were discussing it because of the inconsistencies with the end. Like, it's a little unrealistic that he would go off on the deep end and shoot this guy and then have no repercussions from it and stuff. But as far as the movie itself, I think it told a contained story that it wanted to tell. It's really this exploration of these two characters and their relationship with each other. And we through the pacing of the film, we sort of learn something about each of them in each scene as it goes along, and their relationship evolves as we gain a better understanding of it, and kind of coalesces in the end with a complete character arc for both of them. And we have a broader understanding of them. So I've noticed that I really enjoy these types of movies for Nicolas Cage because I feel like he can really show off his. I think this is where he's the strongest, and it's kind of a shame that he got known for blockbusters and kind of crazy over the top manic acting, because I feel like movies like this and The Family Man and Matchstick Man and Weatherman, he's much better at. I think his performances are a lot more enjoyable. So I gave him an 8 as well for this. Again, I almost gave him a 9 for it, but I feel like there was just a couple of moments where he wasn't quite fitting. Like Vince said,
"You want to be down there."
Yeah, it was just like it's that classic caginess, but it felt a little bit out of character for it. But in general, I think he does a really good job of conveying all of the emotions that this character feels as you're watching it. You can look at any scene that he's in and pinpoint what he's feeling and what he's going through, and it feels like a realistic portrayal of this character, Doug, and his relationship with Tess. And again, I think that chemistry he had with Shirley MacLaine comes through on screen, and I think that really lends to the success of the movie and why it works as well as it does. And I really enjoyed it. In general, I just wanted to point out that I liked the dark twist that it took. It kind of felt like it was steering you down, this typical, she's got brain cancer and she's gonna die of a tumor and where it's going to be sad and a tearjerker, but then it veered off in the other direction. And those threads were there as the movie went along, with the way that she runs off with Earl and how Doug doesn't trust Earl. And, she doesn't believe that the security detail is necessary, but he does, but maybe he could slack off a little bit because maybe she's got a point. And we turned out, no, he was right all along, and he's sort of been right this whole time, and he's a very skilled agent at what he does. So I felt like a twist was there. It's just if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't have noticed it, which I think is a really good twist to a film. And I don't think it was too bombastic of an ending. It's kind of... it's a little bit over the top. We said there's like 500 people descending on the barn, and it's just. But even then, it's not like a big over the top action scene. It's just to show this response of like how much the story has veered from this small character driven thing to like she's been kidnapped and there's a full on response to get it or to get her back and rescue her and stuff. And it feels sort of out of the element that maybe Doug feels like too, being stuck in this small town for 3 years or whatever it's been. So he wanted that type of life and he got it toward the end. He wanted that kind of response. So I'm kind of disappointed that this wasn't more popular. I have honestly never heard of it except until we watched Unbearable Weight, and it was mentioned in there and a couple of scenes were shown in it. So this one is sort of flown under the radar. I don't know if that's just at the time, this was like you said, this was a tail end of a bunch of movies that did this and it was sort of cliche at the time. So maybe that explains some of their response. And I haven't seen Driving Miss Daisy or The Bodyguard and stuff, although Amazon recommended both of those once this movie wrapped up. So I guess that could be part of it. But I think for the movie that it was, what it set out to do, it was great. It did that really well.
I'd say you wouldn't expect this from me, but I fucking love Driving Miss Daisy. I think it's a genius movie, really well done, and like it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. So I would highly recommend it. Right. As echoes of like I don't know, it's one of those movies that's like it's sad, but it's really enjoyable at the same time. I don't know. It's one of those movies that if it's on, I will watch it. Like if Shawshank Redemption is on, I will watch it every single time. And if Driving Miss Daisy's on, I will watch it every single time. Guarding Tess, not so much.
I can see that, but I liked it. It's not a movie that I would go out of my way to see, but I appreciated it for what it was, and I found myself enjoying it quite a bit.
I love this part of the show of like finding the movies you didn't expect to be great. Like last season, I feel like it was The Trust, a movie that we didn't expect to be good. And then, Mandy, we were like blown away by how fucking great it was in the first season. A Pig,
Pig, yeah.
I have seen this movie, and I think maybe my feelings skewed it, just because I'd seen it quite a few times, like when it first came out. I think it was, like I said, it was one of those movies that was just on a lot. I can't be quite as generous, but I do think it's a great self-contained small story. The tonal shift at the end is just kind of like whiplash a little bit. I like that it took you in a place you weren't expecting. But I do feel like it's just so unrealistic. From the point where he blows off Earl's toe, like I said while we were talking about it, like if he just would have just threatened him And that's how that scene ended. Everything else would have been much more believable. But like the fact that he blew off his fucking toe in a crowded hospital with the fucking FBI guy watching on, like I just feel like Doug's everything would have come to a grinding halt at that point. Like, Doug is not allowed to be anywhere near this woman ever again. Like that is, you just went way over the fucking line. So I gave the movie a 7, mostly just because of that ending. I feel like everything else was really well done. It's a relatively short movie. It's only 95 minutes, so the pacing is well done. I feel like they did a great job of building up that relationship. And like you guys said, the chemistry between Shirley MacLaine and Nick Cage was great. Obviously, they really liked each other off camera as well because they adopted a ferret and a zebra together. And she has to have that gravitas in order to make that character believable. And Shirley MacLaine is amazing in this. And it's no surprise that she got a Golden Globe nomination for this. She lost out to Jamie Lee Curtis for True Lies, that Best Actress Golden Globe. I don't think either one of them were Oscar nominated that year, though. But anyways, she's amazing in it. I feel like she is the real breakout performance in this. You know, Shirley MacLaine, though. I mean, she's the Oscar winner. I think she got 5 Oscar nominations throughout her career. So it's not a shock. But yeah, without her, this movie falls apart. She is definitely the most important piece to this whole thing. Cage's character, it's great to have that, like, you know, he's being antagonized by her constantly, and he has to like catch himself over and over and over again to not fly off the rails. And I think he did a really good job of that. And I think his portrayal was believable. Like, you can tell that he cares about her from the jump. Like when he first goes upstairs to tell her that he's going, you can tell that he cares about her, and he's conflicted about leaving her behind. But at the same time, he's like, she just keeps pushing me, and she obviously doesn't like me being around, so I want to get out of here anyway. Why does she want me back in? You know, so I also gave him a 7. I didn't. I think some of those cagey moments were a little too cagey. We want to be down there. That thing when he's screaming about just sending Earl to the office. And then in the final couple of scenes, so I mean, he does, like when he's sobbing in the hospital after he's done this thing to Earl, like I felt like that was pretty fucking believable. Like he loves her so much, obviously, that he's willing to completely sacrifice basically his entire life in order to make sure that she gets found before she dies, because he knows that she doesn't have a chance of living because she knows her kidnapper and she can identify him. Yep. So she's going to die no matter what, unless they can find out where she is immediately, which was like within the first 24 hours. Like I think he says 22 minutes, 30 seconds, 30 minutes.
22 hours, 30 minutes.
That's why I wasn't so against him shooting the guy in the foot. Like it felt like it really conveyed what you were supposed to get out of that, which is he's willing to do anything up to and potentially killing this guy to get her back. Like, you know, torpedoing his career, ending up in prison, all of that doesn't matter. Like just to find out where she is. Up.
I feel like not just the fact that he blows off his toe, but the fact that he fired a gun in a hospital. I feel like that was the part where I was like, okay, Jesus Christ, this is a lot.
I mean, they could have potentially done the same thing if he just like missed the guy, like shot next to his foot to get him to talk.
Something like that.
But I think it was also, I mean, it also kind of reduced, like, I don't know. I feel like they needed, I like that they showed that he was willing to shoot this guy to figure it out, you know, to get back to it.
I guess it's not,
and it's also, again, that's not part of the regulations. That's not by the book.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what he's been hammering in throughout going up to this point, is like, he needs to follow things by the book and do the procedure. And he's diverted from it because it's for something he really cares about. And he's really trying to save her life. So
I don't feel like it's necessarily what he did to Earl It's the fact that he's still able to be involved in everything after that is the part that I find just very unbelievable. So I feel like
maybe they cut some bits out. They could have explained that like the president and the FBI guy and Tess all kind of covered for him and covered it up and saved his career from
maybe
going down
like
the tubes.
Bullets don't stop. So it could have gone through to another room downstairs. I don't know. Anyways, I just feel like that's 7 out of 10 is still a pretty good score, but there's so few things that take it down just a touch for me. Overall, I felt like it was a great movie. I hadn't seen this movie in a long time. I think it had probably been since the 90s that I'd seen it. But I remembered liking it. I just didn't remember it being like super memorable. So yeah, 7 out of 10, I feel like that's the right score.